My good side.
Yeah.
This side is well lit, well illuminated.
Am I illuminated?
Maybe lit properly. Welcome to the Pedagogy Hypothesis, episode 5 now. This is 5 episodes deep.
You know what that needs
What?
needs a high five.
Sick. Good. My name is Patrick Kelly. I am a junior high science teacher as well as a YouTube video educational content creator guy. And this is somebody way smarter than me.
Patrick!
Yes.
My name is Caileen Bryson. I am a PhD candidate in chemistry at UC Santa Cruz. And I am also a Center for Innovations in Teaching and Learning Graduate Pedagogy Fellow and a Presidential Fellow.
You're getting so good at that.
I am, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, today we are not talking about ourselves. We're talking about different...
Presidential Fellow is in the UC, not as in like United States.
Oh, man, yeah.
Worth noting.
Yeah. So today... Good.
Hey.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, hi, Jenny.
Yeah, today
Jenny's
we're...
rad, by the way.
Awesome. Shout out to Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah, today we are talking not about ourselves or about certain practices, I guess. We're talking about learning environments.
Correct.
So the environment in which learning happens.
Or the different types of environments that
Yes.
learning can happen in.
Oh, and there are so many. There's...
Plot twist is not just the classroom.
I never would have guessed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So throughout this entire live stream, we always invite you, please, our beloved audience, we love you. We want to hear from you. So please comment, make sure to just tell us stories. We like hearing stories.
I might also note that if people don't ask questions, we're literally just talking to our cell phone. So
It happens. It happens.
It's like, there's that too.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of our international friends in here as well. Like I saw
Yeah,
Holly in there a
that's
second
rad.
ago.
Howdy.
Yeah. Okay. So where are we gonna start with our learning environment?
Yeah, we just kind of have to jump into this, don't we?
I think so. We're covering a lot today.
Yeah. It's going to be another one of those episodes where we just kind of like out pedagogy.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's really helpful. So the first environment is a lecture hall. And I don't know why this is the first environment that's on our list. It's just the one that we talked about first.
I think it's also just because if a lot of our audience is coming from traditional academia or they're in like undergrad or grad, like this will probably be the one that they're just like, oh yeah, that's learning, right? Like that's what we're used to.
It's your classic, like,
Yeah.
I'm learning the things environment. So what is the purpose of a large lecture? This is both like a rhetorical question that I'm going to answer and a question for the audience as well. The purpose of a large lecture hall is to provide a base of knowledge. So there are certain scenarios where a large lecture hall can be beneficial, and we've talked again a lot about how we can still make that interactive and student-centric, but the purpose of a large lecture hall is to provide like vocabulary, fundamental basis, right? Like a lot of the things that you learn in your Psychology 101 or Chem 101 or whatever, however you organize your lower level courses, right? You're trying to get people aware of the vocab that you use within that study and the things that you talk about and the way in which you talk about them. So that's the value of a large lecture hall, and they can still be active. So this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that even in those very large lecture halls, you can still make it student-centric and still make it very active by having types of media that are engaging or asking students to engage in these large lecture halls. You can also have them be split up into smaller sections if you have the room for it, and then devote those like 50-person sections to a different role within the classroom.
Yeah. I feel like we can get pretty deep into like a lot of the differentiation, but I think one thing to remember is you keep on coming at it like, oh, it can still be useful. It can like, oh, there's still a purpose. And the presence of that word still kind of implies that there's like not a use to it. So from your perspective, what's wrong with the traditional lecture halls and why are we still qualifying it with like, oh yeah, there's still some benefit to it?
Great question. So when we think of something that is teacher-centric, the classic picture that we think of is the lecturer who's in the front of the hall, and they have a whole lecture hall full of students, and that person at the front is just talking.
Yep.
Right? So that is the classic picture of what a teacher-centric classroom looks like. And so that's why my subconscious keeps saying the word still.
Right.
I don't love that I'm saying the word still, because there is a lot of inherent value in it.
Yeah.
But that scenario hasn't been a scenario that people typically try and make student-centric.
Right. Do you think that's because of it's just the system and that's like how just things have always been? Or do you think that it's just easy, so people always go back to it?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to deliver a little bit of information to a lot of people in a lecture hall.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're just the connection too. Like I never felt like very well connected or like I really cared about the material when it was a lecture hall.
Yeah.
It was very clearly like, all right, I'm going to sit here and absorb information, and that is my purpose here. I don't have to volunteer to raise my hand or anything. Like
Right.
I can just sit back.
And no one's going to hold you accountable for the information that you're consuming.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to hold you accountable for being there in the first place.
Yeah, it's a mass market kind of class, right?
Yeah. So from an educator's perspective, if you are in charge of a large lecture hall, your goal in that large lecture hall is to provide a foundational basis of knowledge, and that needs to be kind of your primary goal still. But keep in mind that you can still do small teaching practices to make it more student-centric. I actually was having a meeting just last week. I told you about this meeting. So part of my role as a graduate pedagogy fellow is to provide consultations for faculty members regarding pedagogical practices. And I sat down with a faculty member last week, and we were talking about just student-centered classrooms in general.
As
and
you
how,
do, yes.
as I do
Yes.
on my Thursdays, I'm constantly texting Patrick,
This
like,
is
I
what
have
I
this
do.
cool idea for pedagogy. He's like, Caileen, I don't want to talk about this right now. But, or I don't have time
That's
right now.
not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
So we were talking, and I said, it's really common on day one to go into the front of your classroom and be like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm going to be your teacher. Here's my background. Here's why you should trust me. Here's why I'm so wonderful and qualified to teach you. And what that does is it immediately makes it a teacher-centered classroom, right? It's all about Caileen, or it's all about whatever educators.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah, I mean, even
that's
in
my
that...
default, right? And so
Dude.
the next day she sends me an email, and she said, I just revamped my entire day one. I took all the information that I got, because I also advised she do a pre-class quiz, and she did do a pre-class quiz. But you can take that information from your pre-class quiz and put it immediately into your large lecture hall slides. And so the first slide that she popped up, which was a PowerPoint slide still, was just pictures of cool stuff in chemistry. It was an organic chemistry course. Didn't have her name on it. Nothing about her.
Jenny from Washington says, I drink wine and I know things. If you ever get stickers
Jenny?
for your podcast or anything, can we make it say, I drink wine and I know things?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make the stickers soon.
Yeah.
Stoked.
And so she went through, and because it's a survey online, everything is anonymous,
Yep.
and there's no handwriting bias.
Yeah.
She asked kids, like, what do you do in your spare time? Like, and she put up some of those things. Like, someone does like kayaking, someone has pet tarantulas, someone does like all these things. Yeah, and so she put up a slide to be like, this is what you guys are interested in, and talked about what the kids are interested in right off the bat. Sorry, kids. Students. What the students are interested in right off the bat. And then, said like 50% of you have a second job. This many of you work this many hours a week, this many of you have this many credits a week, and so it became all about the students immediately.
Yeah.
That's a very small teaching practice and a very easy way to make large lecture halls where you have to get a foundation of knowledge still student-centric.
I'm thinking too, like, what's the best that can happen? Like, you inspire somebody and they like look up to you the entire semester or whatever, and like, that's great. You provided like some reason to pay attention, but you still made it a teacher-centric classroom. Does that make sense?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
that loser.
Yeah, you can still, like, the classic good teacher in a traditional teacher-centric classroom doesn't suck at their job. You're still providing content, and you're still trying to make a foundational basis of knowledge. You're just doing it in a very selfish way.
Yeah. And I think, okay, we can talk about superstar professors and
Yeah.
people who want to be Richard Feynman later. Well, maybe he's not the
maybe-
best guy to look
yeah,
up to.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next size that we have, if we're thinking about from really, really big to maybe a little bit smaller, and this is where Patrick starts to chime in here, is sections versus K through 12 classrooms.
Perfect. Okay. So think back, audience, to when you were in that K through 12 again. So
Wait, there's a Game of Thrones quote?
I don't watch the show, but I'll take it.
I don't.
What's
There's
TV?
There's a quote on my wall. So my lab has a wall full of stupid shit that we say in lab, and one of them, the Game of Thrones soundtrack was playing, and I was just like, I wonder who Thor is in Game of Thrones. They all did that.
Caileen. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I got exiled and I had to go make gels.
As you should.
I had to
Yeah.
make gels for the whole
No,
lab.
you deserve that. You really do.
No. Game of Thrones. As
it's
I watched
okay.
it for 40 minutes, I was like, this is
Oh,
gross.
dude, try getting. Yeah, it is. Try getting into junior high. They will roast you every day. It's great. Dogs are always welcome in class because they're better behaved than some students. Yep, can confirm. Owen's like being a good student right there. He is chilling.
He is. Owen's out.
Oh my gosh, I love him so much.
Isn't he the cutest?
Yeah.
Right,
I guess
K-12
yeah. All right, so K through 12 classrooms. You're probably used to, if you remember back to your junior high or your high school, the same thing, like that lecture hall style, where it was just a bunch of rows.
Jenny, oh my god, Caileen.
Yes.
Maybe she's like, let's take back that sticker about wine and knowing things. She's like, maybe not.
You know some things.
Yeah.
You know some things. Okay, so you can think of it like almost a mini lecture hall, right? Where you were sitting around 30 other people or whatever it was, and you were just all looking up front. And there was a whiteboard, a chalkboard, depending on how old you are, and you like just paid attention for an hour because, all students at age 12 can do that and have unrelenting like focus for 60 minutes. They
So
can't.
stupid, dude.
It is. Like,
Sorry,
okay.
that's the wrong word. I hate that I just said